What if the hardest moment of your life became the beginning of your greatest purpose? On YouTube, millions have found themselves drawn into the warmth, humor, and honesty of Cole and Charisma Sydnor. But behind the radiant smiles and viral videos is a story that runs much deeper than views or subscriber counts. It's a story about resilience after a life-altering accident, about love that defies assumptions, about choosing visibility in a world that often misunderstands difference. Roll with Cole and Charisma isn't just a channel, it's a living reminder that adversity does not cancel possibility. It can redefine it. Today, we're diving into how one couple turned tragedy into transformation, criticism into conversation, and a wheelchair into a platform that's changing millions of minds. If you've ever fallen into a late-night YouTube scroll and suddenly found yourself smiling at your screen, chances are you've come across Cole and Charisma Sydnor. On their channel, Roll with Cole and Charisma, they don't just share content, they share perspective. What makes their presence powerful isn't just that they are an interracial and interabled couple. It's that they've chosen to live visibly, honestly, and courageously in a world that often misunderstands both. Their story begins long before the cameras. At 16, Cole was athletic, driven, and adventurous, the kind of teenager who thrived on movement. A diving accident in Virginia's James River changed everything in an instant. A spinal cord injury left him a quadriplegic. For many, that moment would mark the end of one identity and the beginning of years of uncertainty. Rehabilitation wasn't just physical, it was psychological. It meant redefining independence, masculinity, ambition, and future dreams. But here's the part that shifts the narrative. Cole refused to let tragedy be the headline of his life. Years later, at the rehabilitation center where he was continuing therapy, he met Charisma, a technician with a calm presence and a compassionate heart. Their connection didn't start as a dramatic love story. It began with conversations, with laughter, with a comfort that felt natural. What grew between them wasn't built on pity or inspiration tropes. It was built on compatibility. That foundation matters. When their professional relationship evolved into friendship and then into something deeper, they faced questions from society, from strangers online, even from people in their immediate circles. Questions about motive, about practicality, about how things work. Questions many couples never have to answer publicly. Instead of retreating, they leaned in. Since launching their channel in 2018, they've intentionally addressed the very topics others whisper about: interracial dynamics, disability and intimacy, caregiving realities, accessibility challenges, public assumptions. They answer uncomfortable questions directly, but never defensively. Their tone is educational, warm, and occasionally hilarious. They dismantle stigma not with anger, but with clarity. What makes their content compelling isn't shock value. It's normalization. You see Charisma assisting Cole with daily routines, but you also see her teasing him. You see Cole navigating his wheelchair, but you also see him leading conversations, cracking jokes, and speaking with authority about disability advocacy. Their relationship isn't framed as extraordinary because of disability, it's framed as extraordinary because of mutual respect. And that's the real lesson. Their daily life does include medical equipment, accessibility planning, and adaptive logistics. It includes vulnerability, it includes patience, but it also includes date nights, inside jokes, disagreements, growth, and big dreams. In showing the full spectrum, they quietly challenge a cultural narrative that often reduces disabled individuals to either tragedy or inspiration. Cole is neither a tragedy nor a symbol. He is a husband, a content creator, an advocate, and a man who adapted when life forced him to pivot. Charisma is not a hero-caregiver stereotype. She is a partner, loving, strong, imperfect, and real. Together they represent something deeply motivational, the idea that love does not require physical perfection, conventional expectations, or society's approval. It requires commitment, communication, choice. Their impact extends beyond entertainment. For newly injured individuals navigating life after spinal cord injury, Cole becomes a visible blueprint for possibility. For interracial couples facing subtle or overt scrutiny, they offer reassurance. For anyone who has ever felt different, they provide proof that different is not deficient. Perhaps the most inspiring part of their journey is this: they did not wait for the world to understand them before living fully. They built a life first, and then invited the world to watch. And when you watch them, something shifts. You stop seeing wheelchair, you stop seeing interracial, you see partnership, you see resilience, you see humor. You see two people who decided that their circumstances would shape them, but not shrink them. That is what makes their story powerful, not the accident, not the obstacles, not even the platform, but the choice every single day to roll forward together. With visibility comes curiosity, and in the creator economy, curiosity often turns toward numbers. While Cole and Charisma don't publicly disclose detailed financial statements, industry-standard YouTube CPM, cost per thousand views, estimates make it reasonable to project that their ad revenue fluctuates significantly month to month. Channels in their niche, lifestyle, relationships, disability advocacy, often see RPMs, revenue per thousand views, after YouTube's cut, ranging from moderate to strong depending on audience retention, geographic demographics, and advertiser demand. Based on view counts and engagement trends, analysts commonly estimate their ad revenue falling somewhere between $3,000 and $10,000 per month in steady periods, with spikes during viral cycles. But ad revenue is only one revenue stream. Brand partnerships typically represent the more substantial portion of income for established creators. Collaborations with lifestyle and apparel brands, such as Hollister, tourism boards, accessibility-focused companies, and sponsored integrations can command 4 to 5-figure payouts per campaign, depending on deliverables and reach. Add to that merchandise sales, affiliate links, speaking engagements, and cross-platform monetization, and total monthly income can rise considerably. In high engagement windows, some projections have placed potential monthly earnings near $40,000 to $50,000. What's more important than the numbers, however, is what those numbers enable. Financial stability has allowed them to transition from content creation as a side endeavor to full-time advocacy. That shift matters. It means they can travel for speaking events, collaborate with disability organizations, invest in better accessibility tools, and dedicate time to educational content without being constrained by a traditional 9-to-5 structure that might not accommodate complex care routines. In economic terms, they've successfully converted social capital into sustainable income. In human terms, they've converted lived experience into impact. That said, financial success in the public sphere never exists in isolation from scrutiny. Their brand identity, particularly the use of the term Interabled, has occasionally sparked debate. Within parts of the disability advocacy community, some critics argue that emphasizing labels like interracial and Interabled risks commodifying difference. The concern is not malicious, it's philosophical. There's an ongoing tension in advocacy between visibility and reductionism. When does highlighting identity foster awareness, and when does it inadvertently narrow a couple's narrative to a marketing hook? Cole and Charisma operate in that tension daily. They've also navigated nuanced conversations around representation, especially regarding Charisma's identity as a Black woman. Some viewers have felt that certain edits or story framings centered Cole's disability journey more prominently than her individual experiences. In digital storytelling, editing choices matter. Narrative balance matters. Representation optics matter. To their credit, when these critiques arise, they tend to address them rather than ignore them. They've acknowledged that learning how to represent two intersecting identities publicly is complex. They've spoken about growth, about understanding that advocacy evolves, and so must the way it's communicated. Internet visibility amplifies everything: praise, misunderstanding, projection, and critique. What distinguishes them is not the absence of controversy. No high-profile creators are immune to that, but the way they engage with it. They don't lean into outrage for clicks. They don't weaponize disagreement. They typically respond with clarification, dialogue, and recalibration. There's a deeper lesson embedded here. When you build a platform around identity, you inevitably become part of larger cultural conversations about race, disability, autonomy, and representation. Those conversations are rarely simple. They require emotional intelligence, strategic communication, and humility. Cole and Charisma's journey illustrates something broader about modern advocacy. Monetization and mission can coexist, but they must be handled with care. Transparency builds trust. Nuance builds credibility. Growth builds longevity. And perhaps that's the real measure of their success, not whether a month peaked at $50,000, but whether their influence continues to expand beyond numbers into something more durable, changed perceptions, informed audiences, and a wider understanding of what partnership can look like in all its complexity. What separates Cole and Charisma from many online creators isn't that they avoid criticism, it's that they metabolize it. When the hater comments roll in, the ones suggesting charisma must be motivated by pity, clout, or a savior complex. They don't retreat into defensiveness. They bring the conversation into the light. In Q&A videos and live sessions, they read the assumptions out loud. They unpack them. They dissect where those narratives come from. And then they calmly dismantle them. The idea that disability automatically shifts a romantic relationship into a caregiver dynamic reveals more about societal bias than about their marriage. Cole is clear about his agency. Charisma is clear about her autonomy. They emphasize something simple but powerful. Love is not charity. Partnership is not martyrdom. Attraction is not conditional on physical ability. By confronting these misconceptions publicly, they turn accusation into education. Instead of allowing rumors to define them, they define the narrative themselves. That transparency takes courage. Online visibility strips away privacy. Every smile can be analyzed, every edit scrutinized, every disagreement speculated upon. For an interracial and interabled couple, the projection multiplies. People overlay their own discomforts, biases, and unresolved ideas about disability and race onto their story. Yet again and again, Cole and Charisma return to conversation. They acknowledge that they are still learning about representation, about storytelling, about how to honor both of their identities fully. They don't claim perfection, they model growth. And that distinction is critical. Advocacy that refuses evolution becomes rigid. Advocacy that embraces learning remains credible. At its core, Roll with Cole and Charisma is not just a channel. It's a longitudinal case study in resilience. A spinal cord injury at 16 could have narrowed Cole's future. Instead, it redirected it. What began as rehabilitation became purpose. What began as adaptation became advocacy. And what began as a private love story now resonates with over 1.2 million subscribers who see themselves or their loved ones reflected in that visibility. Financial success followed impact, not the other way around. The platform didn't emerge from spectacle, it emerged from authenticity. That's why it sustains. But beyond subscriber counts and revenue peaks, the deeper achievement is cultural. They've helped normalize disability within romantic narratives. They've expanded public understanding of what intimacy, independence, and partnership can look like. They've made conversations about accessibility less abstract and more human. And perhaps the most motivating truth embedded in their journey is this: resilience is rarely loud. It's daily. It's procedural. It's choosing to answer another hard question, filming another honest video, rolling into another room knowing someone might misunderstand, and showing up anyway. Life did throw a massive obstacle in Cole's path. It did alter the trajectory. It did demand reinvention. But reinvention does not mean reduction. Together, they demonstrate that adversity can become architecture, something you build upon rather than something that buries you. They remind us that love is not defined by ease, but by intention. And they show, in the most practical way possible, that when partnership is rooted in respect and shared purpose, even the heaviest obstacles can be navigated. Not avoided, not erased, navigated side by side. At the end of the day, Cole and Charisma's story isn't really about disability. It isn't about labels, and it isn't about internet fame. It's about choice, the choice to love boldly, the choice to answer ignorance with education, the choice to build a life that refuses to be defined by limitation. Their journey proves that resilience isn't about pretending obstacles don't exist. It's about rolling forward anyway. And sometimes, the rocks in your path don't stop you. They become the very foundation you build your purpose on. If their story reminds us of anything, it's this: life may change in an instant, but meaning is built over time, with courage, with commitment, and with the right person beside you. And that's a lesson worth carrying far beyond the screen.